I think we all know it's the season of the witch, but which witch is the witchiest on the list? Hagazussa follows a social outcast through a time and location that is cut off from the rest of the world and that revolves heavily around superstition, religion, and community. It is a slow, beautiful, traumatic movie. I love films that are able to tell stories through their visuals and not the dialogue. These are true movie experiences, and I don't just mean the black and white, no talking silent picture ones. I'm talking about movies like Blue Ruin, where you watch the visuals and you get so much just from looking that you feel like you've read this person's inner secrets, like straight out of their diary or something. It's that good how these visuals can portray everything from emotion to plot. It's quintessential cinema, and it's the stuff I really, really like. But these sorts of films don't always make it to the screen either, because if you've ever actually tried to read a script with no dialogue, it can be an absolute snooze fest. First-time feature Luca Fiegelfeld has done Hagazussa as his final film school project. What film school did this guy go to? Because he is a master. He comes from a cinematographer's background, and it definitely shows. The director is able to manipulate our every thought through the visuals, the sound mix, and the music, which can sometimes be very, very prevalent, or sometimes just very soft and moody. There's slow motion and slow moving shots in a location that is a breath of fresh air. He is a master manipulator of our souls. He shows us one sequence and we are completely scared and terrified that a certain thing is going to happen. And then in the very following sequence, he manipulates us into thinking, well, that might not happen, but this might happen. And then you're completely terrified that more than one awful thing may happen. He slips these little nuggets of fear into our minds as we're watching. And in each scene, we kind of tell ourselves, oh, please don't do this. Please don't go where I think you're going to go. Oh, don't go in that direction. But it's not actually where we think it's going to go. It's where he tells us what to think and where it might go. And then he manipulates us again and does something even crazier. He is a harsh, harsh individual. I also love the blocking in this film. He'll put someone in the foreground, completely in focus, and there won't be a lot going on in that foreground. But in the background, there's another character, and all the action is happening in that background, out of focus, and you can't help but really lean in to try and get an idea of what's happening. And he's not going to help you either. He's not going to just rack focus and put the background into focus. No, he's going to leave you guessing exactly what's going to happen, and he makes your mind think a little bit more of how gross and how disturbing something might really be. He also does this great thing where he puts the camera right on a character's face and we watch the reaction, but we hear everything that's going on. We don't see it, we just hear it. We'll see the aftermath, but it's the actual happening that is so chaotically nightmarish in its execution. And then there's other scenes where he'll do wide shots and we'll think that we've seen everything that is going on in a scene, and then he'll flip the angle and we'll see something we had no idea that was going on. And we're like, where was this? Where was this? We just saw this whole scene. We knew everything that was happening. And then you just changed the camera angle and you blew our minds. He uses so many amazing techniques that really just dials you in. And at the same time, at no point is he afraid to show us the ghastly and gruesome. He's a relentless director that's going to show you only the things he wants to show you, and he's going to pace the film however he wants to pace it. Even if you think this should be an 80-minute film, which it definitely could be, he does not care. He is not going to compromise his vision. If you want a fast-paced, quick editing style with a bunch of jump scares, you ain't gonna get it, buddy. If you want a sliver of hope within this entire film, you ain't gonna get that either. If you want the ultimate slow burn of a film that is moody and unsettling and disturbing and traumatic and feels like creepy crawlers are under your skin and crawling up your vertebrae and feasting on your insides in that slow, painful way that only torture by scaphism will allow, then this is your film. There might be very little in terms of dialogue, but this movie is saying a lot. The man has a vision and he's sticking to it, and isn't that all we really want from a director? The comparisons and themes will be and should be compared to Robert Eggers' The Witch, with its portrayal of outcasts, superstition, community, persecution, and religion. The settings are different by hundreds of years, but the styles and themes are comparable. Okay, spoiler alert here. Babies. Frickin' babies. Is there anything more painful to watch than something happening to a helpless baby? Not even watching it, just hearing a baby in distress, even off screen, is just torture to the soul. And how many times does Al Brune actually leave her baby to go do something for what seems like hours? But let's be real here. When you were in the beginning of this film, did you ever think where this film ended up would actually occur? Like, what actually happened to the baby and how it happened? Like, was that ever something that was like, this might happen? Because it didn't cross my mind at all. I mean, this movie took it to another level. I mean, go eat a placenta or something. Sheesh. It's also amazing how we can feel so deeply for a character and then totally turn on her, complete 180 after she did what she had done. Perhaps some people can still feel bad for her based on the fact that she didn't know what she was doing, possibly with the whole mushroom thing going. But once you see something like that, for me, couldn't get back to it. Couldn't feel for the character, regardless of whether or not she knew what she was doing. The mushrooms, though. I'm actually not fully sure how I feel about that whole sequence in terms of going on this psychedelic trip and then having that be the cause of what you've done. Now, I don't think that is completely the cause of what she's done, because if it was, I think the writers did a real cop-out in this situation. I think it's a mixture of the bad trip, the heathen's curse, and everything that she's lived through to make her do this unspeakable thing, and then do another unspeakable thing, and then another unspeakable thing. I mean, absurd. But I mean, everything all together, from the mother's skull being there, and that presence that it's bringing, to all her memories and all her pain and the rape that has occurred and everything that happened to her, everything that's happened to her could lead her to that situation. This is a film that logically doesn't make sense completely, but it still definitely works when you view it as if you're the community with the superstitions and all these worries of witches and things that could happen to your family if they are around. What of the skull, though? She gets the polished, artistic skull, and that thing sure does have a spell on her. What type of weird-ass religious man would give that to someone and then paint it too? Maybe that's how they rolled in 15th century Alps? I don't know, but it just seemed so weird. Was this his way to start the removal process of her from the community? I didn't fully understand what his motives were here. I would actually like to see like a 20-minute short film about this character so I know a little bit more about his motives. I'm intrigued by him. This is a film about what society does to its outcasts. It's about what we do to people who are different. It's about how a smaller bully can get pushed aside by a bigger bully because this bully has bigger plans and more evil plans to do on the poor outcast. And these bullies, like all bullies, show such cowardice. And how many times have we seen that it's not the bully that does that final damage? It's the outcast themselves who does that final last step, whether it's suicide or something completely traumatic, like what she does here. The film is broken up into 4 parts: shadows, horns, blood, fire. Personally, I like shadows the best. I think it's an absolute 20 or 30 minutes of masterful filmmaking. The way the director shows us exterior shots and makes us really squint our eyes and search throughout the trees and the darkness to see if anything's actually there. We're literally searching every speck of the frame. And then he does a shot back inside, a reaction shot where she's looking out the window, and then once again, we see the exterior shot, but then there's these 3 townspeople there, and they are scary as all hell. They remind me of doctors from back in the day that used to wear those plague masks, but they're like even scarier than that, times 3. And literally, as an audience member, the only thing you want, other than maybe a little faster pace, is a sliver of hope. The mother is dying, and young Al Brune is taking care of her, doing everything she can to make her mother feel better. And there's multiple times where you hope that the mother says something to her. You want some sort of encouragement for her. You want her to say, it's gonna be okay. Or you want her to say, you're gonna have to do this, 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 and this. Give her some direction. Give her some love. Give her anything. Al Brun, more than anyone, just needs that moment of love and hope. And when you finally think that there might be that chance of love that she's going to get when she crawls into the bed with her mother, it becomes absolutely ghastly what occurs. Now, you absolutely know you're not going to get that hope or love during this one scene when they crawl into bed together because of the mood that is set by the director. There's a fire there, and it creates this nice hue of redness, but you know that that red glow emanating from the fireplace is not bringing warmth. It's not bringing that nice warmth and red color to a shot. No, it is bringing the color of red, and it is bringing the term fear, danger. All the things that you think that are bad are going to happen. Run. Again, it's just another level of the visuals telling us the story and dropping these little hints for us, and I just loved it. Instead of getting that one final moment of love from a mother to a daughter, you get an absolute wretched action that is just hideous. If you can't tell yet, I really love this film, especially the technical side of it. I love how it looks, I love how it feels, I love what they show us. I actually really do like Al Brun as a character. I think in the chapter of Shadows, they really do a good job of making you feel for this poor, innocent girl, and as she grows up, you can only hope that she comes out okay. But as it gets later on, that switches a little for me. I love the idea of the skull and the mother sort of emanating from there in that sort of ghostly, curse-like way, but I don't love the mushroom thing. I preferred the apple and the snake and the Garden of Eden that they had going during the middle of the movie, and I guess maybe if you look at that mushroom as her apple, then maybe it'll work to a certain extent, but the mushroom psychedelic thing kind of got to me. But I really, really enjoyed this movie. And yes, this is a very slow movie, and people are always going to talk about the pace of this film. But when you have shots that are so layered and so textured, there's so many places you can look within one frame that I never found myself to be bored. Some of the shots are very long, and I will give that to you, but I did really enjoy this film. As always, thank you guys so much for watching. We got a lot left for 31 Days of Horror. I hope you're excited. I can't wait to watch the rest of these movies. Bye.